speakers.
So can you have one more round of applause for Jennifer? We are going to break to eat. I know you're hungry. I am too. And then we're going to come back in about 5 minutes for our first speaker.
Oh, so we're gonna eat while he's standing there speaking to us?
Yep.
Well, I guess in 5
对，
minutes.
这是1776回归1776运动，他们在西弗吉尼亚的营地啊大家好，今天是2022年7月2号，这是他们在西弗吉尼亚的营地最后一个周末的聚会。明天下午和晚上，他们还会继续有聚会。
That are in the tent. I know you guys want to be in the shade as much as possible, so that for everyone to see the best, if we could have a couple hands help move the picnic tables, slide them down the lower section of the white tent over here, that would be great. Thank you.
What?
这是他们在西弗吉尼亚这个营地的最后一个周末聚会。聚会结束以后，他们这批人会去到华盛顿 DC， 进那个 DC， 因为以前的车队啊，人民车队，他们进 DC 是不被允许的。DC 会把那些路口都拦起来，知道他们要来会拦起来。但是明天他们聚会结束以后，他们就会说，就打包了，就离开这个营地，就不再回来了。他们会进入华盛顿 DC。那这个1776 Restoration Movement， 他们的诉求就是要美国回到当时1776他们建国国父他们那个时代那个样式，就是宪法是这个国家的所有法律法规的根基。他们要回到那个有道德的那个生活状态，是美国各州的联邦国家。因为现在华盛顿 DC 的政客们，实际上他们拿了很多不属于他们的这个权利啊，他们就是为所欲为。包括这个2020年这个大选舞弊，这个总统的位置被盗了。也没有地方申诉，当时向最高法院提出来要，重新去计选票，要为这个川普总统申冤。
We have hot dogs, hamburgers, potato salad, macaroni salad.
We also have Ridgeline with our official
I'll have to go look and tell you what else they have.
Movement t-shirts and hats.
Hi Diane, thanks for stopping by. Oh yeah,
当时的最高法院也不作为，所以美国人觉得这个国家已经变成他们不认识的国家了。那这批爱国者保守派的，当时是以大卡车司机。
Yeah, the regular kind of barbecue and stuff there.
Where you can get your very own little.
I hope they have ice cold watermelon too. I could eat it like the whole thing. It's so hot.
他刚才介绍他们这儿有些什么，就是在吃饭的这个时间段里，他们一会儿就会有人来演讲了。在吃饭的这个时间段里，他介绍了他们周围有一些卖这个健品摊的，还有一个宪法小册子的这个台。
One is an announcer.
这个街头传道人
He has your own car, or she'll drive a truck.
很多的人搞那些东西来让他们卖了以后的钱，其实全部都给这个1776运动。
The line's pretty big. That lady that spoke last night, she's going to speak again today. Got her name. She's right there.
I've always been confused not to do it. All you gotta do is put solar on this and good enough for life. But
I think they only have, I don't think there's any women driving trucks. The big trucks, maybe the pickup trucks, yeah.
这里也有很多的自媒体的直播，看看这里有很多自媒体。前面那一排呢是一些比较有观众的群体的人的直播，我们也可以 set 在前面，但是那个地方太晒了，那个手机撑不了多久，一会儿就会发烫。我现在是用手机在直播。
Besides the movement, there's probably about 25 or 30 people here right now. I don't think there's a band playing tonight. We got songs. I mean, we'll have.
While everyone is helping themselves to a plate, I'm going to have Simon come up to the stage in just a moment here. He's going to start you off.
Simon arrived last night, or yesterday.
On the Constitution.
All right. No, we're going to have music and then fireworks later on. They need Simon to break out his microphone so he sounds right. No, I don't even think they were having a band there, M-E-E or whatever that is. But thanks for showing up and making sure you subscribe.
This is a poor example. This is something that. But I'm just going to have.
There's another family. I didn't see this one yet.
And all the lines come like that. But I want to make it on the bottom where it's in, where I can pull it down. Just lay the pole on the ground.
这营地里的食物呢，就是美国的食物哈，有那些 sandwich 啊，还有有些人在这个附近，他们会做一些吃的拿过来，那些甜点之类的。我今天过来的时候有买了一些 ice cream， 还有我前2天在Trump酒庄买的那个酒，我也拿了2瓶倒奶型给他们。
Yeah, Robin, it's always that way.
Hello, America. While we are waiting, I wasn't expecting to necessarily specifically speak about the Constitution. I do have some speeches that we can, some speeches from history that I can share with you. I do have a copy of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. If we have a few minutes, I could, I guess, just read the Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another.
这个发言的人我记不得他的名字了。每次来他都在讲这个宪法，在跟大家在讲宪法讲解。
to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the cause which impel them to the separation.
Yeah, I like his voice
Behold,
though,
these
Max.
truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal,
He showed
that
up
they are
yesterday.
endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the
Make the
pursuit
drone
of
on while
happiness.
everybody eats, because they're not going to be
That to
back
secure
by
these
5
rights,
minutes.
governments are instituted among men, deriving
go get
their
me
just
something to eat. I'll be
powers
right
from the
back.
consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established shall not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. They have a long list of grievances against the King of the Great Britain. He has refused to assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance. Unless suspended in their operation till his assent shall be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people should relinquish the rights of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies in places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness, his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judicial powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Again, these are grievances that they're lifting against the King of Great Britain. Some of these sound pretty familiar to where we are today. He has made judges dependent on his will alone, as I mentioned, for the tenure of their offices and the amount of their payments of their salaries. He has elected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil powers. He has combined with others to subject us to a judiciary foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial, from punishment for any murders which should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in the neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already began with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. Yeah! He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against our country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an indistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every state of these oppressed, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may defy a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here, and we have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. I'm not sure, some of these words aren't quite common English anymore. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world and for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, With the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we pledge our lives, we pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. And we all know that we know the results, we know the end of the story, but if they were not successful, they would either hang separately or they would all hang together.
Yeah, right. Woo.
Benjamin Franklin said, "They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Abraham Lincoln said, "Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves." John Basil Barnhill said, "When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty." Nelson Mandela said, for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others.
Yeah.
And Benjamin Franklin also said, "Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech." Doesn't that sound relevant today? And I would add that I challenge any one of you to find one example in the history of the planet where they did not use fear to take away your freedom.
You won't find it.
And usually that does start by taking away freedom of speech, controlling the press, controlling the narrative.
He's a liar.
I'm gonna go with you. I'll go with that. I'll be right.
That's what you're all liar.
So you want to hear more of Simon
I
Says?
give you a hell of a list, but I think you got your hands full. Yeah, you got a set of wheels there.
What's up, Patriot?
Get it detailed. All right. I'll sell that son of a bitch.
Wrote me a little speech kind of about why I'm here. I refuse to quietly breathe to death while my country collapses around me. I support what the 1776 Restoration Movement stands for, and I will be with them on July 4th and beyond.
Yeah.
I think more Americans should be here with us. When I say that, people ask me why they should be here. I tell them I cannot answer that question for them. The best I can do is tell them why I'm here. To paint a picture, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am 44 years old. I've been married to my wonderful wife, Corinne, for almost 18 years now. She and I have 5 wonderful children. 4 boys between 14 and 9, and a 6-year-old girl. And yes, I just assumed their genders. We live paycheck to paycheck and always have. Neither of us have a college degree. Heck, I don't even have a diploma from high school. It was a GED, a good enough diploma for me. To make up for that piece of paper that society seems to think we need to acquire, we work hard. I put in 16-hour days on the regular. Then I typically get home and practically fall down from exhaustion. Rather than a formal education, I learned and gained experience as I went. Life can be a brutal teacher, but the lessons it teaches are far more valuable than anything you learn from a book. I learned how to provide 21 meals a day for my family, and that is no easy task, but we make it work. We all make it work.
Yeah.
At 19, I joined the Army. 3 years later, I was out with bad knees, a broken back, a broken spirit, a broken mind. Shortly thereafter, I met my wife, and she helped me in so many ways I cannot begin to explain. She stepped in and became my crutch when I needed one. She shined a light on me when everything was dark. She helped me find my own way. Of course, it's been sunshine and rainbows ever since. I'm a small business owner. We've had 2 construction businesses that failed. We learned from our mistakes and now have a successful business with over 30% growth year after year.
Hey! Woo! Yeah.
this government did and is still doing to small business in America is disgraceful and purposeful. Until the manufactured pandemic of COVID 1984 and all the government overreach that came with it, things were going great. We were on track for our best year ever. We were discussing hiring 2 more employees. Our reputation in our community was growing at a fast rate, and we were actually able to save a little money. Until we were forced to shut our business down, we applied for an exemption to stay open, and we were declined. We weren't even allowed to repair leaking roofs with new materials, only to do what was needed to stop the leak, while wearing a mask on a roof. For 6 weeks, we watched another contractor down the street who remodeled kitchens working because he was approved for his exemption. I was not allowed to do outside work, but he was allowed to do work inside people's homes. Apparently, new kitchens are necessary, but a leaky roof can wait until the virus has passed. There is a special sting when you take a man's ability to provide for his family away. Ronald Reagan once said, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, 'I'm from the government and I'm here to help.'" The government was there to help. They were kind enough to offer loans to people with more than 100 employees. And as long as they followed the rules, they didn't have to pay the loan back. They also offered this loan to businesses with less than 100 employees, like mine. But that must be paid back. Back into a corner and facing the closing of my business, I felt I had to take it. What else was I going to do? Close? I didn't know how to do anything else. Why do the companies who have 1 to 99 employees not have the same opportunity as a business with 100? It has been one thing after another since that closure. Material delays, price increases from week to week, making it nearly impossible to keep a schedule and maintain a 5-star reputation that we have built buildings for years. It also makes it very hard to keep good employees. We have gone from whole house renovations to small repairs like roof repair, window leak. People aren't spending money, and I can't blame them. We all saw what happened. People could not work. Businesses went under all around us. Families fell apart. Parents began to bicker and fight with each other over the damage we were doing to our children. What is it like behind their masks as they watch the chaos in the world around them crumbling? It is all some have known. To them, this isn't the new normal. It's just normal. That's heartbreaking and infuriating at the same time. It sure is hopeless feeling to know. It sure is a hopeless feeling to know. This is our busiest time of year, and I'm sitting in my home office writing this rather than on a job site providing for my family. So why am I here again? The enemy has surrounded us because we let that happen while we were asleep. Additionally, many who thought they were awake were often busy watching the wrong hand. Those of us who swore it, we forgot our oath. We allowed the tentacles of government to touch all aspects of our lives. We allowed them to grow into a beast. And now we must beat that beast back into its constitutional cage.
Yeah! Yeah!
We must be willing to give up something now, or we will lose everything later. If we don't, our kids will lose everything and be doomed to live in a world of weak men and bad times. I am here because I am a man. I am the protector of my family, and government is the biggest threat they face. Patriots like us are the greatest threat the tyrants in D.C. face. Our voice is our strongest weapon in the arena of ideas. We the people have the true power. They only rely on illusions of power. I will go to D.C. to stop D.C. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object, convinced that they design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Thomas Jefferson, the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah!
Pretty sure people in Washington forgot all about that. I have overcome broken bones, a broken spirit, alcoholism, a broken mind. I have made mistakes, faced losses and victories just like all of you. I thank God for all of them because now, because I know that if I hadn't gone through that hell, if I hadn't defeated my own demons, I wouldn't be here ready for the ones we must face now. Only these demons are not strictly of the spiritual realm. They are also flesh and blood. They are tyrants, a cancer to our land and a death sentence to Our Lady Liberty. She lays on her deathbed crying out for help in a muffled voice. I will answer. We all should answer.
We the people.
We the people. So people aren't spending money because the economy is so bad and goods are so expensive. The economy is bad and goods are so expensive because of the clowns and tyrants in D.C. Thomas Paine once wrote, "If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, so my child may have peace." I have 5. I will not let my children down. I am not only here for my children and future grandchildren, but I'm also here for your children and your grandchildren. I'm here because America has blessed us all with so much, and it would be a disgrace if I were only to take and never get back. I feel it would be unfair, selfish, and anti-American of me to prevent the next generation from experiencing America's constitutional republic to its fullest. We live in a time of weak men lacking integrity. What they don't lack, they also have weak morals and weak principles. We cannot allow this to continue any longer, or we will be too far gone. Much like prior empires before us, we will fall because we didn't fulfill our duty as its citizens. When Lincoln was asked, "At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected?" Lincoln answered in the following manner. I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. I hope I am over wary, but if I am not, there is even now something of ill omen among us. I mean the increasing disregard for law that pervades the country, the growing disposition to substitute the wild and furious passions in lieu of sober judgment in courts, and the worse than savage mobs for the executive ministers of justice. The disposition is awfully fearful in any community, and that now it exists in ours. Through grading to our feelings to admit, it would be a violation of truth and an insult to our intelligence to deny. Accounts of outrages committed by mobs form the everyday news of the times. They have pervaded the country from New England to Louisiana. They are neither peculiar to the eternal snows of the former, nor the burning suns of the latter. They are not the creatures of climate. Whatever then their cause may be, it is common to the whole country. You can no longer sit in the middle, or else you sit with those who would tear America down around you, and eventually you will join them, or become their perpetual victim. What will you sacrifice to save Lady Liberty? Are you willing to sacrifice everything? In the end, you will lose it all anyway. The only question remains, who will take it from you? Will you sacrifice it to your families for your family's freedom? Will the world take it when you pass on? Will the government take it all when you stand up? Or will they take it slowly while you sit on the couch asleep? Don't you realize the duty to this mission is on your shoulders? Whether you take up the fight with us now or you wait for them to come to you, you are part of this fight. It's about what you leave, not what you take. You cannot take anything from this world, but you can certainly leave a lot. Now I switch over to poetry mode. We must fight the night until we see the sun. We don't need a blade, we don't need a gun. We have God's truth and history on our side. We must fight to keep Lady Liberty alive. She stands in the cold and the heat. She saw many wars with no retreat. She stood alone through the day and night, so we could never give up the fight. Thank you.
现在就是每个人讲见证他们为什么要来参与这个1776运动的时候， 刚才这一位呢，他是家里面有5个小
All
孩，
right, thank you so much, Chuck. Give it up for
他
Chuck
发
one
现
more
美国已经
time.
到非常危险的时刻了，所以他要站出
All
来。
right, so our next speaker is a certified ADA advocate for people who are abused by the judicial system. She is the ex-wife of the son of a judge and became a victim of that system, and she has used her past-present information to create a platform to expose the judiciary. She empowers people with the knowledge of their rights, including the Constitution, the grand jury system, and the Declaration of our Declaration of Independence, and shows how we can utilize her to rise above the corruption and expose it and take back our country. Please help me welcome Janice.
I want to start out by thanking each and every one of you for standing up and speaking out. I know, just like you do, how hard it is and the price you pay with friends and family. You have a lot to be proud of yourself, because a lot of people aren't doing it, and they're waiting for people like you and like me to do it for them, and they will reap what we've done. All of us are equal. Doesn't matter your color. Doesn't matter where you were born. We come in here with nothing and we leave with nothing. We all get up in the morning and we put our pants on the same way, as does any judge in the United States of America. And for some reason, when they put on their little black dress, they feel like they are above us. And a lot of the issues we have right now starts in our courts. And it starts with the two-tier system that has become extremely obvious. But it's not just in our courts, it's in our executive branch and our legislative branch. And there are people that have government jobs. A lot of them do whatever they have to do to protect those above them in order to keep their job. They're not thinking about what they do to others. I launched judicialpedia.com after being illegally jailed over $8,100 in legal fees. It was a setup. I spent 14 days in solitary confinement in 2014. At 5:30, it was election day, after 14 days, the sheriff came and said, you no longer have to be in solitary. Senator Mark Warner had gotten the number of votes, 17,004 votes that Ed Gillespie did. He had traded a federal judgeship in order to try to flip the Virginia legislature from Republicans to Democrats. And he's still enjoying it.
Can you hear what she's saying?
We have to make the change. And so how do we do it? It's through exposure. Think about your court system. When you go into court, if you're in a state court, there's no way to see the documents or for others to see the documents. It's all secret. We're not even allowed to carry our phones in. And when you think about the organizational chart of our government and of our states, you'll see that the citizens come first, and then under that comes the executive branches, which are the governor, your judiciary, and your legislature. Public service is public trust. They work for us. Yeah. And we need to make sure they know that. Yeah. So with Judicialpedia, you can put up any type of case. You can put up a judicial complaint, a judge's complaint, a lawyer's complaint. Remember, all judges are lawyers. So they have two sets of rules to follow along with their oath and their, so they have the judicial canons and the professional code of ethics. There is no statute of limitations for going after a judge or a lawyer when it comes to ethics. And if they violate your constitutional rights, there's a thing called a void judgment. And void judgments can happen at any time. Because if a judge or a lawyer violated your United States constitutional rights, you have every right to reopen that case. And don't let anyone tell you, oh, but there's a statute of limitations. There is no statute of limitations of violating your constitutional rights.
No.
And that takes me to what do we need to know? We need to know our Constitution.
Yeah.
We're not teaching the Constitution to our children in school. It should be a bedtime story because it's what will get them through their life.
Yes.
It's what gives them their rights. We also have our 4 freedoms. In the 40s, and yesterday I said it was Eisenhower, it's actually Roosevelt, who gave us this. It's freedom from fear, freedom from speech, freedom from worship, and freedom from lives. And we got those instead of the human rights that the rest of the world got. But we have our Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. And then when you go to your state constitution, you'll find that you have those rights in your state as well and others. And we need to enforce those, and we can only enforce them with each other. And so we need to start talking with people. I always say, any one of us could be in the line in the grocery store, or in a Walmart, or anywhere. We need to talk to each other. We need to talk to our neighbors, know who they are. The Declaration of Independence is very important. And it states, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equally, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Those are our rights from God.
Yes.
That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
We don't need to be as sad as we are, as worried as we are, and in fear of our government. That is illegal, and our government and their employees are doing that to us. We see a police officer behind us, and no idea why he's stopping us. And we need to be afraid of him, and that's that. The grand jury is another thing that I'm working on. And what's important about the grand jury is that it's the fourth arm of government. Justice Scalia and Justice Howe both have made those statements in different court cases. We have the right, every county, every city in the United States almost, has a grand jury that meets. Maybe every other month, every few months, but it meets. You have the right to go in there and ask for an investigation on public corruption. Since the 60s, they've been trying to take that away from us. We also have federal grand juries that we're being blocked from. And we have a sitting grand jury in the Southern District of New York who playfully goes after public corruption of the government. But we never see them really do anything, unless it's in revenge for a party they don't want to see in power. How do we get them to pay for their wrongdoings? They're called surety bonds. Surety bonds are where you file against the government or against the state employee. They do not have immunity. Judges do not have immunity. When they say they have immunity, they mutilate a young girl in Indiana to get it. They do not have immunity. There is no law that gives them immunity for acting outside their oath of office, violating the Constitution, and violating our rights. Never go to court alone. Be sure you've let as many people. It's embarrassing. We all get into trouble. We all have moments of our life we're not proud of, but things happen. And we have to learn to stand up and speak out about them and not be embarrassed. because we're not alone. We all have certain things that happen, whether it be a divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure. Any of these things can happen to anyone. When you see someone homeless, I think they say 78% of Americans are 2 months away from being homeless. So it can happen to anybody. So with the foreclosures that are happening, we're going to have a repeat of 2008. Because in 2008, when the government gave the banks and everybody so much money, they covered up what they had done. And with that cover-up, a lot of us, the mortgages we have, don't really exist. They created the smoke and mirrors. And one of the largest servicers we have is Ocwen. Ocwen actually, and here again, my numbers aren't exact right, but they sold $4 million worth of stock for $17 million, and the insiders made $317 million. I do have some notebooks with me that show the articles and show the numbers. We have all of the large banks, all the large companies now got all this COVID money. Do you think you're going to see any of that going towards mortgages of people? Do you know anybody other than a legislature or a government person that had some kind of conflict that got those billions of dollars that were supposed to buy down mortgages for Americans? I don't know a single person, except for legislature people. And the judges, there's a woman that's doing investigations into the backgrounds of the judges' mortgages, and it looks like a lot of them are forgiven with ever being paid. There's a lot of backdoor stuff going on that we can't get investigated because we're blocked by the judges to get into the grand jury. We're blocked by FOIA requests. We're blocked by a media that isn't reporting on it and is owned by China. There's investing in our country and going to take over it with an insider type takeover like we've never seen. We can make a difference. And we can do it on the internet. We can start with judicial media, but what we have to do is be storytellers. We need to tell our story. And so one of the things that I have planned is to create a platform like Judicial Media to tell the stories of the truckers, where you can sign in, you have your own dashboard, you can put a picture, you can put links to all your videos, to other websites, but you can write your story, how, what, where, when. We are the media. We are the people who need to leave a history for our children. We need to be able to point to something. And these children, 10 years ago, my daughter came home and she said, "Mommy, I read to the child before she went to bed, but I did it on an iPad. They don't have any books." We have to look at that and realize what our children are going to be doing in 20 years, or what they're doing now, and how we can create systems so that they listen, they read, they understand their constitutional rights of due process in the courts, their constitutional right not to be in fear of the government. We're not supposed to be afraid of the police. We're not supposed to be afraid of walking into a courtroom. But we are, and we should be at this moment. We have guardianships and we have divorces. Unfortunately, they're a way of life. When you go to get a divorce, the lawyers look at all of your finances. And in the background, they're all friends. And they're all deciding how much money they can take from you. I always call it the $10,000 couch. Because the couch is worth $250 maybe because of its age and its wear and tear. But one lawyer says to one party, "You want that couch, don't you? Don't you really want that couch?" All of a sudden, you all have spent $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in legal fees over a couch that neither of you want. But you're manipulated that way. Over at my table where I'll be sitting, I have a list of lawyers. Lawyers are no longer making a couple $100,000. They're in the billions of dollars. There's a list of like 100 law firms that are making over $1 billion. One law firm $4 billion in a year. Remember, that's after expenses. So we're feeding into a government, large corporations with insider trading, and we have to stop it. We've got to get the investigations. When you hear of public corruption, do whatever it takes to expose it. You have in your own cities and counties regular meetings of city council. I stand up at every single council meeting and I call them out. Right now, I have a lawsuit for ethics against Andrew McKay, James Comey, and Bill Barr. They did a directive. No public corruption was to be investigated by the Virginia FBI agents. I went to them on the second floor. So what's happening to us, they are personally responsible for. And they didn't have just their professional code of ethics as lawyers. They had their federal code of ethics as having a job that required them to put each and every one of us first. And they didn't. They used us like doormats to make their careers. Because what you see is they go in and out of the government. And every time they come out of the government, they make a few $1 million with their connections, and then they go back in. And then they come back out as if they're good guys and make a few more million. And then they make millions of their posts and they go on TV acting as if they are, you know, these good guys. Well, they're not. They lied to us. They lied to us several times. So I hope that you all will look into your grand jury, look into speaking up at your city council meetings, that you'll look at if you have any legal cases, putting them up on digital media, and that includes a parking ticket. Well, haven't you got a parking ticket and you know you didn't deserve it, and you walked into the courtroom and you walk out like, what just happened? You know, they're also weaponizing protective orders against people and not doing them to the people that really need them. So we have a lot of tools though, and we have to use those tools and utilize them. I hope you'll keep an eye open for Truckerspedia and put your story up there. Also, if you do find yourself going into court, look for an ADA advocate. There's a woman, she's passed, but was from Florida, Karen Huffner, and she coined the term legal abuse syndrome. And she got through the federal government that under the ADA, legal abuse syndrome is a real anxiety, PTSD, as if you've been at war. Because in a lot of ways, we are at war with our own country and trying to take it back. And God bless every single one of you. If anyone has any questions for me or any comments, you know, please let me know. But let's all remember, we're here for God, and God has our back. Amen. And He's got a bubble around all of us. You know, I started out saying I was in jail illegally, and do what you want to do to stand up, but don't put yourself in a position to be jailed. Because while you're in jail, you can't do the fight that you need to. So we had two situations here in our country, Occupy Wall Street and Black Lives Matter. Both have kind of fizzled out. We can't allow what we're fighting for to fizzle out. We have to keep this fight up. And it's all facets of life. So officialpedia.com. I ask you to look for Truckerspedia, COVIDpedia, J6pedia. We have so many history happening moments right now in our lives that we need to leave the stories to our children. We need to keep in touch with each other and make sure each other are safe. So if there's anything I can do for any of you, please let me know, and any questions you may have. Thank you. Hi.
All right, give it up one more time for Janet.
他也是做见证的。他最后也提到，美国民间也有很多，美国民间有很多的组织在要把美国带回到建国初期的那个状态。除了这个1776，还有很多的这种团队，这个运动。
So if you see some items that you'd like to bid on, we have a separate silent auction going on as well.
什么时候到的？
So if I could have Wild
你们有
Bill
带
and
灯的吗？
then Brooke, we'd like to bring our first item.
你们有没有带？
First is going to be
那就拿
our
到这边来，
fan
放
out
到
today.
啊。
All right, Wild Bill. Why don't you tell everyone where are you from?
Martinsburg, West Virginia.
And why are you here with 1776 Restoration Movement?
Restore the Constitution and get our freedom back.
Thank you, Vanna.
All right, we got a girl walking around with the American flag artwork. So everybody can get a good look at it. All right, where you want to start her at? How about a 20? Anybody bid 20? 15? 10? Come on, people, it's worth more than that.
那前面举着这个艺术品的人，他们在就是竞卖，然后这个钱拿出来就是给这个1776的，
Anybody?
就是叫义卖吧，在中文里面叫义卖。
All in, all done. Going once, going twice. Sold. I'm not really an auctioneer. This is my second week of doing it. I did it last rally and I did it this rally. Bear with me.
Sounds good.
I need to move closer for all the other speakers. I was putting up a whiskey tent.
And I've got a bag bicycle here too that
All right, looks like we got a reed there.
I was like,
That handmade?
very old.
That a handmade reed? Hello? That handmade? Handmade reed.
Yeah, it turned out to have a lot of people. Like I said, all the dreamers help out the newbies like me. I was out putting a misting tent out. It was so hot and what do you call it? Humid.
All right, where you want to start her at, boys? Give me 10. Anybody give me 10? 5.
I'm gonna walk through it since
I got $20 bid now, 5. $20 bid now, 5 now, 5. $20 bid now 5. $20 bid now 5, now 5. $20 bid now 5. Come on, boys. It's prettier than that. It's patriotic. $20 bid now 5. I got 20 with 5, 30. 25, 30. $25 bid now 30, now 30. $25 bid now 30. $25 bid now 30, now 30. $25 bid now 30. I got 30 now 5. 30 now 5. $30 now 5. Big dig.
It's too hot out there. I don't see how.
$30 now 5. Got $30 bid now 35, 35, 35, $30 bid now 5.
I don't see how it
All in on done. On once, twice.
I was sweating when I was putting up that misting tank. I wanted to go with it. He said, I'm first. So I said, well, I'll go see him at the street.
I think we should have fed them after.
Thank you there, Louisiana.
Oh, looks like you got a piece of artwork here, no fear. That's a great piece there. Wall hanger.
Oh, yeah. Taco Joe,
Oh, this lady right here is the one that painted it. She's turning it around for you to see. Walk up there close to it. Let him see it.
All these Asians, Frederick, I think,
She just finished this piece of artwork this morning. I was just informed. And she drove all the way from Ohio to get here. Hey, there's food up here. I see y'all just came in. Got food up here for you. Yes, sir. We're glad to have you. Come back tomorrow and bring some friends. Thank you. All right, where you want to start her at? I got 20. 20? Anybody bid 20? 15? 15? I got 15 down 20. $15 down 20 down 20 down 20. $15 bid down 20. $15 bid down 20. $15 bid down 20 down 20 down 20. $15 bid down 20. $15 bid down 20. $15 now 18. Oh, you got 20? Okay, D. I got 20 now 5. $20 now 5. I got $20 now 5. $20 now 25. $20 now 25.
25.
Come on, people. There we go. I got 25 now 30. 25 now 30, D. 25 now 30. I got 25 now 30 now 30 now 30. 25 now 30. 25 now 30. I got 25 now 30. I got 30 now 5. I got $30 now 5 now 5. $30 now 5. I got 30. I got 35 now 40. 35 now 40 now 40 now 40. 35 now 40. Come on, man. This is a good piece. 35 now 40. Come on, D. 35 now 40. I got 35 now 40. 35 now 40 now 40 now 40. 35 now 40. All in, all done. Going once. Twice. So. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's wake up here today. We usually do better than this. All these pieces they're putting out there, there's a lot of hard work in them. There's a lot of beautiful pieces. I don't know whether they have anything in there this week or not, but a blind lady made something last week and put it in the auction, and I tell you what, it was a beautiful piece. It looks like we got a bear coming out here. Looks like a red, white, and blue. Got a red, white, and blue outfit on a white bear. and it's all handmade. And I'm gonna tell you, these bears have been going for some money, so I want to see your hands up on this.
That's what he's all built there.
All right, where do you want to start her at? How about a $20 bill? 20. Anybody give 20? I got 20 now, 5. I got $20 now, 5 now, 5. $20 now, 5. $20 now, 5 now, 5. $20 now, 5. I got $20 now, 5. $20 now, 5. I got 20 now, 25. I got 20. I got 25 now, 30. 25 now, 30. $25 now, 30. $20 now, 30. I got 30 now, 5. $30 now, 5 now, 5. $30 now, 5. $30 now, 5. I got 35 now, 40. 35 now, 40. 40 now, 50. 40 now, 45. I got 40 now, 5. I got 45 now, 50. 50 now, 5. I can't see who's bidding over here. I got 55 now, 60. 65. 70. 70. You're all out now, come on. It's worth more than that. These bears could sell for double that. 70. I got 65 now, 70. 65 now, 70. I got 65 now, 70. Come on. 65 now, 70. All in, all done. Going once. Twice. So. 65. They stole that bear like Biden stole the election. Oh boy, like we got a goodie basket out here. Oh, we got skincare beauty products. Well, we don't have no ugly women here, so why we sell something like that? All right, we got this skincare and beauty basket here. Where do you want to start her at? How about 20? 20? 15? I got 15 now, 20. $15 bid now, 20 now, 20. $15 bid now, 20. $15 bid now, 20. I got 20 now, 5. $20 now, 5 now, 5. $20 now, 5. $20 now, 5. $20 now, I got 25 now, 30. 25 now, 30 now, 30. 25 now, 30. 25 now, 30. I got $25 bid now, 30, 30, 30. I got 30 now, 5. 30 now, 5. I got $30 bid now, 5. 35 now, 40. $30 now, 40. Come on, it's worth it. You pay 3 times that much as fast as body works. I got 30 now, 35 now, 40. 35 now, 40. He wants to look at it here. Hold on.
现在呀，对我这个要换。哦，对，对你等一等也可以。我来把换下来。
All right, so for the lot of your stuff in this basket, you got do-it-yourself candle making sets. There's hair clips. There's
而且这个手机拍的那个不好，你看它就是飞出去了。
Makeup stuff in here. Stuff that I can't pronounce in here. Some lady stuff in here.
手机啊。
Makeup brushes, all kinds of good stuff in here, folks. I suppose probably any one of these items is going to be at least $20. And you got a whole big basket full of stuff in there, so.
这个地儿细。
That's 35 now 40. Where was we at?
应该是可能有一半人没收过。
Ma'am, I had used 35, right? 35 now 40. I got 35 now, 40 now, 40, 35 now, 40, 35 now, 40. I got 35, I got 40 now, 5. 40 now, 5. I got 45 now, 50. 49, 50, 45 now, 50. Come on, make it an even number. I got 45 now, 50. 45 now, 50, 50, 50. 45 now, 50. 45 now, 50. I got 50 now, 5. 50 now, 5. I got $50 bid now, 5. $50 bid now, 5 now, 5. $50 bid now, 5. All in out. All done. So going once, going twice, so. Oh, did you have another bidder? Well, I can't see her over at the table, I'm sorry. Well, we'll go ahead. I got $50 bid now, 5. $50 bid now, 5 now, 5. $50 bid now, 5. I got 55 now, 60. $55 bid now, 60. $60 bid now, 5. $60 bid now, 5 now, 5. $60 bid now, 5. $60 bid now, 5. $60 bid now, 5 now, 5. $60 bid now, 5. All in. Go once, go twice. Go. Oh my gosh, we got a nice little pie here. Mount Sour Cherry Pie. I'm glad they kept that away from me. No, I'll just go get some. Okay, what do we got on this pie? How about 15? I got $20 now 5. $20 now 5 now 5. $20 now 5. 25. I got 25 now 30. 25 now 30 now 30. I got 30 now 5. 30 now 5. I got 35 now 40. 35 now 40. 35 now 40 now 40 now 40. 35 now 40. 35 now 40. I got 40 now 5. 45 now 50. I got 45 now 50. I got 55 over here. Now 50. 45 now 50. 45 now 50. I got 45 now 50 now 50 now 50. I got 45 now 50. 45 now 50. All in, all done. I got 50 now 5. 50 now 5 now 5. 50 now 5. I got 55 now 60. 55 now 60 now 60. 55 now 60. I got 55 now 60. 60 now 5. 65 now 70. I got 65 now 70. I tell you what, these pies are good. I bet you, I told you the Lord fixed it. He give all kinds of money for it. And he did. Are you bidding, sir? No. Okay.
Had a bee on me.
Had a bee on me.
65 now 70.
It looks like it.
All in, all done? Oh.
Yeah.
Now I wish we had some more everybody.
Come and claim it.
I should just have a painting last time here. Have everybody come under the tent.
Oh, I keep putting those trucks.
This truck is from custom succulent and cacti arrangement. And it's also a recent website. It is beautiful red white.
Yeah, beautiful little red and white truck. Got a little cactus in it there. Nice little race right there. All fake. Helen? Where you want to start her at? Got 20? I got $20 bid now, 5. $20 bid now, 5 now, 5. $20 bid now, 5. $20 bid now, 5. I got 25 now, 30. 25 now, 30 now, 30. I got 30 now, 5. 30 now, 5. 35 now, 40. 35 now, 40. 40 now, 5. I got 45 now, 50. 45 now, I got, you bid? I got 45 now, 50. 45 now, 50 now, 50. 45 now, 50. 45 now, 50. 45 now, 50. I got 45 now, 50. All in, all done. Sold.
Yeah.
45.
All right, everyone, give a round of applause for Wild Bill. Is he natural? We should hire him. All right, without further ado, I'd like to welcome David Rydell, our leader, our mentor, the man. All right, everyone, let's stand up for a moment and give him a round of applause. This man, he's at all hours of the night, talking to people, phone calls, interviews, listening to you, working hard, figuring out a plan for our peaceful protest. So, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. What a weekend.
Yeah.
I was so excited last night. The last group pulled in at 2 o'clock this morning. And it just blows me away what happened in the last 48 hours. We began to run out of room. It's a problem I like.
Yeah.
So, thank you all. How many's come in the last 48 hours? Raise your hand. All right, man, a lot of hands. God bless you. Glad you're here. And we got rain this thing coming in, so I'm gonna have to hurry. That's why we're going to got me up. But I got up this morning and I've been, you know, I don't get up here.
Oh, I like it.
And just make up stuff. I like to be, I like to have an idea of what God wants me to talk about every time I stand before you. And my constant prayer is, God, they do not need to hear from me.
It's okay.
They need to hear from you. And so all morning long I've been struggling because I didn't have anything. Miss Rose came to my truck this morning and said, let's pray. So I began to pray with her, and right in the middle of the prayer, all of this just started coming to me. So I'm going to deliver my soul this morning. Hopefully it will help you, inspire you, motivate you, and feed you spiritually, mentally, and patriotically. So I was thinking about the children of Israel when they first went into Egypt. They went there and were accepted with open arms. Joseph was second only to the Pharaoh. And so when they went into Egypt, they went there as friends. They were treated as equals and given great favor. But over time they became slaves to that governmental system. Sound familiar? So finally one day, God sent a man and said, let my people go. God hardened Pharaoh's heart. A number of plagues began to be poured out upon them. So finally they agreed to let God's people go. Long story short, they went into the wilderness.
Because of disobedience, they wandered for 40 years, waiting on the promised land. Finally, the day came. A young man named Joshua steps up to lead his people. And the Bible records that when they went to the river of Jordan, at that particular time of year, it was overflowing its banks.
现在讲话的就是Santa，实际上他的名字叫 David， 就是这个1776运动的领导。
Levites carried the Ark of the Covenant before them, half a mile before the rest of the people of God. They were marching forward. And as soon as their feet stepped into Jordan's River, the Bible says that 2.5 miles up, or 20 miles up one side, the river began to pile up, the land became dry, and the children of Israel began to march through. But before they went through, Joshua had told the people, he said, I want you to choose out one man out of each of the 12 tribes. And when we get into the middle of the river, I want you to pick up one of those stones. For on the other side of that river, we're going to build a monument to our God to declare that it wasn't by our strength, it wasn't by our might that we have came into the promised land, but it was by the power of an almighty God. All these 12 men, and you guys know how we men are, you know, to be selected out of all of those millions of people, just 12 were selected to do so. Those men, given a great honor, walk over to those rocks that are in the middle of that. And remember, we're building a monument to our God on the other side. So these are not pebbles. These are not small rocks. And these are not just regular men. These are family men, right? We're not going to be picking up little bitty rocks. As a matter of fact, if I was walking behind Big D and I saw Big D pick up a big rock, I'm going to look at him and say, oh boy, you ain't outdoing me. I'd pick up one a little bit bigger. And you can imagine as it goes on down the line, each succeeding man, he's getting a bigger and a bigger stone, right? Because we're doing something that's going to be significant for years to come, because Joshua told them, for years your children and your children's children will revisit this monument that we're going to build. And so by the time they get it out, you got to also understand, they have no idea where they're going with these stones, just that they're going to pick them up and carry them to where God tells them to put it down. So these men begin to get these big stones. And I brought this up here just kind of to represent the actual word. When you trace it out, it meant a cornerstone. The cornerstone is the most important stone in any kind of foundation. It is usually the largest stone. So these guys are carrying rather large stones. So when you go to pick up something like this, you want to lift with your legs, right? So they get down and they pick up this big stone. Now I picked something light because I'm weak. But anyway, they pick up this big stone. I'm going to act like it's heavy, so bear with me. You guys know it's not, right? I'm not this strong. This is not a cornerstone. But anyway, they pick up this big stone, and they're like, all right, let's do this. This is kind of like when we rolled into Hagerstown with our flags all brand new, right? Oh, let's do this thing. Oh, we're on board, man. Let's do this thing. Oh, we're all excited. And then they begin to march, and the people of God are encouraging them. They have a position of honor. They have a position of greatness, you know, and they're carrying this stone and they walk. But some Bible historians put the place of Gilgal, where they're going to actually build this monument, 7 miles from the river of Jordan. Had they have known it was going to be that far, they might not have taken on such a task as this. But here they go. The first mile. Yeah, our flags are still flying and we're still excited. Bring it on, baby. We're here to possess the promised land. Mile number 2. I'm starting to hurt a little bit. This thing's starting to dig into my chest. Starting to dig into my arms. I feel my hands growing numb. Mile number 3. This used to look like a position of honor, but now it's becoming a position of pain. Mile number 4. I don't want to disappoint my tribe. I don't want to let down my people. That's the only thing that keeps me taking the next step. Mile number 6. I don't think I can do this anymore. I've never done anything this hard. in my entire life. But somebody runs up and says, you can do it, man. You can do it. He looks at that person and says, don't you see the blood running down my chest? Don't you see the blood running down my arms? I'm in the most pain I've ever been in my life. Is this worth it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And finally, at mile number 7, in a town that will become called Gilgal, the man of God says, stop and lay your burden down. When you've been carrying something like this for this long, you don't just drop it. You've got to lay it down carefully. They begin to walk that rock down their body. Even as they're laying it down, it does its final damage to their body. And they finally lay it down. You don't straighten up right away from something like that. And you sure don't want to be talked to. And you don't want to be messed with. I think I'm just going to go over here and just rest for a moment, if you'll let me. People are coming around. Those 12 are all sitting around looking at each other. After a few minutes, one of them probably gets the courage to look at another one. Was that as hard on you as it was on me? Yeah. There's a few times back there I thought I was going to stop and drop the load. Yeah, me too. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Look at this. I'll never be the same again. Scarred up, and I'll carry these scars the rest of my life. Yeah, me too. Nobody else in that camp can even come close to relating to those 12 men. All the rest of them just watched as they bore that burden. The only ones that can truly relate to those men are the other men that carried those stones with them. But let's go forward about 40 years. Those stones no longer have the blood of those men on them. They're now arranged in a monument that testifies that our God can do anything. I can see a man now whose beard has gone gray. And the hold of his hand is a little tow-headed boy. I can hear that little boy say, Papa, which one of them stones was yours? No more pain. No more bad memories about that crossing and that 7-mile track. I can see that Papa proudly point out, I was right there, son. I was right there with my old Papa. You carried that all the way from the river where we were at this morning? Yes, sir, I carried it all the way, son. Oh, Papa, you're the greatest man that ever lived. I'm looking over a crowd, and I would like for those who have started with us, who were at that Red Man parking lot. You remember that place? That was over a month ago. All of you that were in that Red Man parking lot, I want you to come up here for just a moment, quickly. All of you that started with us was in that Red Man parking lot. Remember back then, we all fit in a restaurant, a closed restaurant's parking lot. That's how big we were. Today, we're filling up this entire parking lot and have them parked back there in the gravel. All of you that were there at Red Man when we started this endeavor. I remember when you guys pulled up and it looked like it was over. You remember that day? It looked like we were done. It looked like we were finished. It looked like that we couldn't go on. You all pulled up and I saw in your eyes. You still have the fire.
这是一批把命都摆上的人。
You still have the work. He all looked at me and I said, I have nothing for you. I have absolutely nothing. I have no money. I have no food. I don't even have a place for us to park. And you guys looked at me and said, we can do it. We can build it again. We can do it again. I looked at every one of you and I said, all right, here we go. I said, all right. And these guys took up that stone. They have traveled all this way for over a month, waiting on this Monday, waiting on it. going down. Every one of these people that were there.
他们等着这个星期一。
They stood behind this movement. They stood behind the Constitution and the Declaration.
他们要去唤醒美国人，要让美国回到宪法时代。
Still burns in our bellies, and we will not quit until we are successful.
All right, everyone. It looks like we may have some rain, but please feel free to stick around. We are cutting our live auction short, but while the rain holds off, we still have the silent auction going on. We also have a 50-50 raffle going on. And then please support our other vendors, Bob, Flags. We also have Craig with his hitches for flagpoles, for pickup trucks. And then we also have, I think his name was David with, thank you, David with vinyl decals. Pretty cool. I passed back there and he's got the machine set up and everything to do it right there on the spot. That's awesome.
好，谢谢大家观看哈，我们差不多这个今天的直播就到这里了哈。
Under that blue tent, behind the white tent. Okay. All right.